I can remember back to being 6 years old and walking with my mother and pointing out buildings and saying, I'm gonna own that. I even remember pointing out a bridge and saying, I'm gonna own that bridge. And I think it instilled in me early on that I wanted to be successful. And growing up where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of successful people. I grew up in the projects outside of Pittsburgh, and not a lot of people got out. It was some place where you were raised there, you raised your kids there, and it's just generations of poor people. I got out, and my first job was a really, really well-paying job in a steel mill. So early on in that job, I was working really, really hard to impress my bosses, thinking I was doing the right thing, and a union steward comes up to me and says, I need to talk to you for a second. And so I was real respectful and went over, and I'm a young 18-year-old, and he says, you need to slow down. And I was a little taken back by that, didn't really understand it. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you're making everybody else look bad, and that's not the way we want you to do it. We want you to slow down. And that really took me back, and I remember the bad feeling that I had, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to stay there. Shortly after that, we went on strike, thank God. I got out of there. My brother opened up a little bakery, and after a short while, he taught me the business, and we opened up a bunch of retail bakeries, and he gave me a partnership in it, and that was my first experience in being in business for myself. And early in the 70s, about 73, 75, somewhere in there, we had gas shortages, and flour prices went sky high, and sugar prices went sky high, and there was enough money for my brother or me to make money in the business, but not both of us. So being that I was the younger one and he started it, I told him I'd go find a job. The only job I could find actually was selling life insurance door to door, which back then was called a debit. I went to work the first day, didn't know how to tie a tie, took it with me, and my boss taught me how to tie a tie the first day. And within 6 months, I was the top producer in the business, and loved it, did really, really well at it, worked really hard selling insurance, and all my other peers in that business would work 6 hours a day, and I'd work 16, and that's why I outproduced them. I sold the debit that they gave me. I was the new guy, so they gave me the debit that was in not so good of neighborhoods. So I went back to the projects is what I could probably tell you there. And I was door to door on the projects, and it was not a safe neighborhood. So I got intimidated a little bit at times. So I bought 2 Doberman pinchers, threw them in the back seat of my car, and left the windows down, and taught them to stay in there. They were trained dogs, and I was very well protected in those neighborhoods after that. Nobody went near my car, nobody went near me. Most people would have quit that job quickly, but it was a great success for me. What was interesting I was doing really well selling the debit, and they kept trying to promote me. And I didn't want to be a manager, I just wanted to go sell. And I remember right at that time Heath was born, and I was at the hospital. Went home late that night after 18 hours of labor and all the things that happened with the first child. And I slept a few hours, went in the office the next morning and told my boss that I had a couple collections that he needed to go make for me. And he said, no, I'm not doing your job, you need to do your own job. And I said, what? I said, my son was born last night. And he said, that's not my problem, you need to go do your job. So I said, it's now your job. I threw my book at him and quit. That was a trying moment, but probably a good thing that happened, because I went in started selling insurance. Straight ordinary is what it was called back then, and it wasn't door to door. I just got to sell instead of collect, and I was much more successful at it. After building up a successful insurance business, I started to see the steel mills starting to shut down. Thank God I got out of there, and started to feel the economy shifting and changing. So I wanted to raise my son someplace that was a little bit better than a ghost town. So we started looking around, where would we move, and we picked Central Florida. Started to grow a little insurance business, and did that for about 6 months when all the insurance companies decided to pull out of Florida because of some conflict they had with the Department of Insurance. And so we had to turn around at that point, sold our agency, to a larger agency not too far from where we were located, and we thought that was great, that we would just go sell insurance and he would have all the headaches and the backroom stuff. And so my wife went and ran one office, I ran the other office, and very successful, did very well. And 3 times in 9 months he changed my commissions and didn't raise them, one of those 3. He lowered them all 3 times. So after the 3rd time I just said, you know, Jerry, this isn't going to work for me. The insurance companies have come back in, they started opening up, I'm going to go start my own agency. That's when I started Insurance Office of Florida. I decided at that time that, you know, I kind of sat down and I just said, what do I want Insurance Office of Florida to look like? And I really just felt like I could build something different. So I structured a commission that was higher than anybody else in the business. I structured an opportunity for my producers to come in and own a piece of the business, and gave them an opportunity to be part of the leadership and management of the agency. And we have people in there that have great retirement dollars set aside and ownership in the company, and they turn the lights off, they shut their computers down, they're owners. They act like owners. That's what makes IOA different. We're still early in this, and the 2nd generation's taken over, and it's going to bless people even much greater than I did, but there's going to be a lot of millionaires built out of IOA, and those are the staff that support our customers and take care of us. The thing I'm most proud of is my son. He stepped into my shoes and has done an unbelievable job of taking over IOA and making it way better than I ever could have made it. And, you know, the future of IOA is in great hands. He's the CEO of the company, has been for the last 5 years. Yeah, I have had a wonderful life. I've enjoyed every minute of everything I've ever done, even the bad things. You know, I tell people all the time that I've learned more from the bad than from the good. And don't fret the bad. I want to be the best grandfather that there ever was. That's what I want to do the rest of my life.